Good evening. This is John Warren, publisher of the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper, coming to you with our program from the desk of the editor. We always like to remind you that the Voice and Viewpoint is San Diego's oldest and only African-American publication, found in 17 cities, unincorporated areas, 89 zip codes, over-the-counter outlets in retail stores, newsstands, churches in our community, senior centers, and of course, if you download our app, you can pull us up on the web, but our paper is available each week, as this week's edition will be available tomorrow online, along with a special issue, the insert that we have that Ms. West, our managing editor, will tell you about in a while. And so if you wish to join us, as Dr. Thompson hosts this great event, you can call us on 858-251-6111 or go to godradio1.com. We are streaming on Facebook, God Radio, Voice and Viewpoint Facebook, and we welcome your comments. It's an open mic event. We have much to talk about, and whatever is on your heart or mind, we are listeners, and we are looking to share. Dr. Thompson.
Well, Dr. Warren, it is graduation season, and we've seen many college graduations in our city and around the nation, as well as now the elementary, junior high schools, and high schools are all graduating early in the city of San Diego. This is the earliest that we've ever seen graduation. It's happening before or right after the Memorial Day weekend, and it is also happening before the month of June, which would then have the young people coming in much earlier. They're going to be coming in at the early part of August now, and that will line up with the county schools as well as with the Chula Vista schools and Sweetwater school districts. And so time of celebration, especially for those that are graduated from high school, have reached the age of 17, 18 years old, going to matriculate to colleges or to trade schools. Some are going to go into the military force. What we are just praying is that they will continue to be contributors into our community in a very, very positive way as they go into adulthood. And then we also encourage parents that even though they're going into adulthood, do not forget that you are forever a parent.
Ms. West.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Want to congratulate all the graduates. Having been a former educator, I know all the hard work that takes to be able to move on to the next level, and all the hard work that you've done, both with your teachers' help and your parents' help. Just congratulations to all the graduates.
Well, I remember graduations used to take place in the first week of June till they realigned, like you said, Dr. Thompson. I spent a lifetime doing graduations. As a school board member, I had about 40 every year, which was awesome. And 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 41st year of my last graduation from law school, 41 years ago.
Congratulations.
And so it's always a good time, and it's a time, so many people look at it as the ending of something, but all it is giving you permission to go forward to learn more. Mm-hmm. So we want to stay on that positive note, and we got much to talk about.
And one of the things I do want to encourage parents and young people, go home. Don't be out on the streets partying and hanging out with friends. This is the time where we see a lot of tragedies take place, from shootings to car accidents and things of that nature. If you are going to celebrate at your own home. Celebrate in safe environments, and realizing that you have to just be very mindful of that.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I believe it's been 25 years since Willie James Jones.
Yes.
And they had the big celebration of the street right there parallel to Lincoln. And because some people were not admitted to the party that was celebrating the graduation, and he had been accepted to go to Yale or some big
Cornell University on
Cornell
academic scholarship.
And those who weren't allowed in waited till the party ended, and he was the only person killed coming out of the party. That's why the street's named after him. So we got to be real careful, young people. Don't let your celebration end up being your last one.
Yeah, and one of the things that's just really, really important is to also realize that he was at what they consider to be a safe house, a person that
That's
was
right.
very well
The
respected
family
in
and
the community,
everything.
and yet and still there are some bad actors. I was just at a taco shop the other evening, right after I had Sunday evening, and just wanted to rush in there and just get something quick to eat. That late, it was like get a bean burrito, just something real, something, and eat a quarter of it, just to take the edge off. And I was there, and I had never seen so many of our people at the taco shop. Normally you get there and there was like maybe 5 or 6 people.
They keep it open.
There was about 30 young people there. They were all coming from some party or something of that nature. And you know how it is when you are in the community. You begin to talk, and they start laughing and everything. I said, "Wow, I've never seen this many young people up here." And then all of a sudden, somebody in the crowd, Dr. Warren, you would appreciate this, said, "Hold on, wait a minute. Is that Dr. Thompson?" And then I looked at him. He said, "You my father's friend." And they started talking. And I met you at my grandmother's house. And then all of a sudden, the other kids started saying, I thought I knew him." And before you know it, these young
It turned
people
into a big thing.
just began to talk. But what was pleasing to me is, one, they could carry on a conversation and be
Yeah.
respectful. What's also as pleasing to me is that even though there was a lot of them, once they saw an elder in the community,
They were respectful.
They were very respectful. They kind of toned down the whole environment. They got their food and went on their way. But they were excited that there was someone there that they knew outside of their group.
Well, I could appreciate that. LaTanya and I were at the airport in Sacramento, and this brother walks up to me. What he said? "Hey, OG."
Oh, yeah.
And I was playing. It's really a compliment coming from them when they do that.
Yeah.
Okay, whether I could be in L.A., downtown in the homeless district or whatever, but they're respectful at all times, and they take the position that we've earned it, and so that's significant because most of them think you can force respect out of people.
Yeah.
At gunpoint or through violence, as opposed to appreciating that there were people doing things before you ever came on the scene, and it makes a difference. So,
Well, another thing I'm recollecting is the other young man who helped us on the way back.
yeah,
And he was really impressed with Dr. Warren, and we actually were role models for him. Didn't even realize until near the end when he was assisting us to the gate. And he said, "Well, y'all are just really nice. What do you do?"
He said,
He
"Y'all
really
look like
wanted
you're
to know.
important."
Yeah.
and I was in a wheelchair. He was rolling me.
But he was really paying attention. I could tell. I was like, "Oh, wow, he's really looking at us as role models for maybe his future." That was really impressive to me because, you don't always think about that all the time. But just to remember who we are as we walk
Yeah, because he didn't
in the
have
world
to.
with these young people.
He didn't have to do and say that, but
He didn't.
he was clearly impressed. And
Wanted to know
I'm
what we
impressed
did.
when I travel and I meet young people like that.
Yeah. And we were there for the Black Legislative Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really spend very much time the last time we were together talking about that day. But I heard a lot of great things took place.
A lot of great things did. I was extremely proud of Assemblymember Dr. Lachey Collins Sharp and her presentation on the floor concerning mental health and how vocal she was. I was impressed with the fact that in spite of all the people that were there, Dr. Weber is our Secretary of State. She spent a whole hour with us in our small strategic group getting some things done. And so it was a meaningful time for people depending on what group you were in or where you were. And so for some, they needed to go and knock on doors to meet the members of their staff. For others like us, matter of fact, we flew up on the same plane with Lachey. And I must say that Dr. Sharp has been most receptive and helpful from the very moment she got anchored there. She sent me her whole legislative calendar, which was some 21 bills that she got introduced. And all of them dealt with substantive change. And she works very hard at what she's doing. So really impressed, and it's good to have someone who has not forgotten where they come from and who reaches back to communicate.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things in everything is the lest we not forget, who we came with, how we came about where we're at. We think about the legacy of family. This past weekend, I was honored to be a part of the centennial celebration at my former church, the Greater Jackson Memorial, now Fountain of Life. And just the whole process of seeing people that I hadn't seen in years, and we had, I think, maybe 10 or 11 people there that were in their 90s, and that was a real blessing. But the church mother, we had did an hour interview with her, and my job was to cut that interview down into a presentable segment that people would be very excited about. And she came up to me after on Sunday, because they honored her on Sunday, and she said, I was up late last night just fretting about what I was going to say. And she said, the Lord told me, go to sleep, don't worry about it. And she said, and everything I could have said or would have said was in the interview. And she said, and then the Lord said, that's why I told you, don't worry about it, it's already taken care of. And the beautiful thing about that is to see a full circle moment. I was sitting up in the balcony doing a production, and my teacher who taught me TV and production came up and sat next to me, and he said, it was a full circle moment for the both of us, and he said, now the student is the teacher, and the teacher wants to be a student again. But it was just a blessing the whole weekend, and just to have an opportunity to serve the elders. And then on Saturday, we were blessed with the presiding bishop, emeritus Bishop Charles Blake came. And
He made it, huh?
And he made it. And we just had people from all over the country. I was, the production booth is in the balcony, and people were just coming up in the balcony. One guy said, wow, I have not been up here in 40 years. And his first thing he said was, it was a lot bigger then.
Yeah.
And I think that was the big contentment for me, is that it was a lot bigger.
Because you were a lot smaller.
Yeah, yeah. And we weren't as tall, and things that, you grew up in, and you come back and you still see facilities in good condition, and people really doing well for themselves.
Well, I have a question for you. I'm so glad that Bishop Blake was able to be there, but whenever I think of him, I always think of him, you call him the presiding bishop, but he's the chief apostle of the Council of 12. And the Council of 12, as I keep reminding people, govern the Church of God in Christ worldwide. I forget how many million members.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it's over 20.
Yeah,
million.
so it's very
Wow.
significant that he is there, because he came from here and went to L.A. and did what he did, but that he's still in the midst of his health challenges, that he's still here, and I think that's a phenomenal. Now, you didn't tell me about his brother, our favorite bishop, who's so cool and always laid back.
One of the things that we did that was really phenomenal in the sense of the historical piece is that we started off Friday night with a recording of Bishop J.A. Blake Sr. at the big convention, at the convocation. And you would have felt like he was in the room. The people responded as he was right there. And then on Saturday, we actually played, because of a concert, we played a message, and it was just an excerpt of a message by Bishop Charles Blake, and the people responded. And then on Sunday, we played Bishop J. Blake Jr. when he spoke at the convocation. And even with some of the things that he had health-wise, you saw, some of those things allow him to come to life, and some of the things that have been ailing him, it kind of dissipated for a little bit. But he was very gracious to everybody that came in. He was a part of phone calling, and we had people like Bishop Dixon was there, and different churches. And one of the things that was really nice is legacies were there. On Friday we had Michael Page, whose father was Pastor Page of St. Paul Church of God in Christ.
Who took Bishop McKinney's place?
And Bishop McKinney, it was Glenn McKinney, and Glenn McKinney came on Sunday to be a part, and then Cedric Balltrip, who was a son of the church, hosted on Saturday night, and then Gary Watkins preached the final sermon.
Okay.
And so it was a lot of people that grew up in
Everybody
the
knew,
region
yeah.
of the churches, be it their fathers, be it them. I always tease Gary, and the reason why we selected Gary was preaching, I want to say, at 14, 15 years old. And he would wreck the house and then come up and sit with all the young people in the balcony. And so I called Gary up, and I said, Gary, because he's with a mortuary, and I called him late. I think I called him about 10 o'clock at night. And I started off the conversation. I just want to start off and let you know nobody died.
Right.
And his response was, well, if I'm not making no money, why you calling? So we had a big chuckle about that. But
Yeah.
he was very gracious, and it was a good closing. People came from all over. Family members came from all over. And people came, I believe, as far as D.C. and Florida, that way, and as far up as Sacramento and Washington State and Seattle and things of that nature. But it was a good time. We had a fish fry on Friday night, and then we had the concert on Saturday. And I think what I really, really, really enjoyed about the whole thing, Dr. Warren, is to start seeing a new generation of young people. But I hadn't seen it in a little while. And so to see these young people come up, and there was one young person that just stuck out, and he's 18 years old, but he sounded like he's 91. I mean, he has a country twang, and I'm like, how do you have a country twang and you grew up in California, San Diego? But when I tell you, just a committed young person to the work.
There are some out there.
And that was just a blessing. And so overall, the weekend was extremely well, and we're looking forward to, doing some additional things in the future, not as on this elaborate way, but just to be continue to connect people as our saints are getting older. And we want to make sure that we continue to do the legacy. And I think that in our city now, Dr. Warren, as you have covered for so many years, we're losing a lot of our greats. And so as we're losing them, it's important that we continue to tell the story. And I thank God for the paper, because the paper is the chronological storyteller of all the greats.
Well, I
Amen to that.
appreciate that. And LaTanya, I don't want to cut you off, but she
No.
is such an inspiration to me in terms of reminding me of what has to be told, because I don't think about it, and somebody says something, she opens a file cabinet and reaches in and pulls out a folder.
Yeah, I need to have my phone just, on record every time I go into his office, and when he's talking to us, to just press the button when he starts talking, because he just has these gems that come out regularly. And I'm like, you got to put that in a book.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but we're blessed. While we're taking our time here, it was a fantastic Memorial Day weekend in San Diego. We heard on Black Men and Women United how the Rotary people turned out 400 of them to do 20,000 flags at Miramar Memorial Cemetery honoring the fallen. And so it was good to see people in our community with that respectful attitude, as opposed to the days when everybody was just headed to the beach and looking for a party. And maybe some of those people have gotten older too, because you didn't see as much of that.
Well, there's a lot of new regulations out there. They're trying to get rid of fire pits. You can't drink on the beach anymore. So a lot of people are not trying to go to places where they can, quote, for lack of better words, be bad actors and get out of control. I want to stand corrected. I said to myself, let me do a correction with the Church of God in Christ. There are over 6.5 million members in over 63 countries.
Okay.
So I want to stand corrected on the statement earlier.
And the 12,
That's still very impressive.
And the 12 apostles are equivalent to the College of Cardinals in the Catholic Church, because they do that. And California has produced at least 2 of those leaders out of the 12. Bishop McKinney, followed by Bishop Charles Blake.
Yeah, and then
And that's
also
significant.
Bishop J. Blake Sr. There are a lot of people that have come from the California area. The the first on the general board right now, the number 2 man is actually from Hayward, California. And I met him when he was just an elder. And I remember going there, and I was working for a school district. And one of the kids said to me, it was getting late, and I said, well, hey, let us give you a ride home. And she looked at us, she said, oh, no, I'm in the Glad Tidings complex. No one messes with us. And because they kept on telling me I needed to meet this pastor. Well, to come to find out that the city had told him, look, you know, anything that you can clear up that has drugs in it, we'll give it to you for $1. So he had a 12-step program. His 12-step guys went over there and said, this is the Glad Tidings property. Everybody who's doing anything wrong, move out now because we will clear you out. And the city, they used to call him the unofficial mayor because multiple properties were given to the church, and they made sure that people went in there that were going to act right and live right.
Wow.
Well, you know, that was replicated in Atlanta with the properties that Creflo got. And in addition to building the church, he's got that whole shopping center. It was replicated in Chicago with, I can't think of his name right now, who went there and built. And there were more properties that were abandoned back in those places that had shut down in terms of being big malls. And our church people got those properties and revitalized the community with all kinds of programs. So it was good.
So as we're talking about revitalization in this time, you know, I see that, you know, with the Voice and Viewpoint, you all are not waiting to be forced into transitioning, that you guys are now starting to be the leaders of the pack. And when I say that, in the sense of the black press, you know, so many people are saying this is the way we done did it. We're going to keep on doing it this way. I remember coming in, Dr. Warren, and watching everybody fold newspapers, you know what I'm saying? So they get ready to send them out and everything else of that nature. How does it feel to come from and Latanya, I'm going to say this to you, how does it feel to take a newspaper that has stood for so long and now elevate it into the next where you guys are leading the pack and people are following and watching what you all are doing?
Well, those are really kind words, Dr. Thompson. First of all, thank you. It's a marathon. You know, it's definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think if you have a vision and you just work in that vision and you keep that in the forefront, you know, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's just putting that one foot in front of the other. And it's very gratifying when you build a great team and you see them grow. We were just talking about that today in our staff meeting, the growth that we've seen with our team members, and they just have stepped up. I mean, even today, just the things that they were bringing to me, and I just was thanking them because these are things that need to happen, and I didn't have to ask them to do it. They just brought it to me knowing, you know, that they needed to fill that space and get things moving. So it's very gratifying. Thank you.
Well, I want to add to that, though, okay, because, and this is significant because most people would never get it. LaTanya is unique in that she's family, but she's always professional with it, and most people would never know. And we have very few disagreements. I am in such sync with her thinking and the way she functions and gets things done. And a lot of that is a first for me after 40 years in this business. As somebody I can really work with and who understands and who's committed and just has my heart for all she does. And so that's if you look at our growth, that's where the growth comes from. All right.
I'm gonna
Thank
tease
you.
I'm gonna tease you by saying, Miss West, you done got the secret weapon because I've watched y'all work together and I've seen disagreements, but she's so smooth with it that Dr. Warren like said, "Oh, we're just discussing." You know? I think that one of the things that shows a sign of a great leader is the ability to pivot and still accomplish things, but never dig a hole to the point that you're not able to come out of it. I mean, I think sometimes people, when they want to see certain things happen, they can dig a hole and then nothing gets done because of the fact that it's the approach. And recently, I had a person on the station, and they said, "Well, sometimes you got to do the just say to yourself, wait." And I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean, wait?" She said, "Yeah, wait." And just say to yourself, why am I talking? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people have to say, why am I talking? Just wait and watch it all flow out. And sometimes we're so busy talking to get our point across that we never ever wait long enough for us. I always say, sometimes as leaders, we're talking things through. And if you let us talk long enough, we'll talk our way right back to where we're supposed to be. But so many times we jump in, and so we miss the point, or we prolong the journey because we're all trying to get our points in. So I've been telling everybody lately, just wait, you know, and ask yourself that question. But I think that God has His perfect timing.
Yes.
And as you transition and grow and beef up, the paper is stronger than it's ever been before. You guys are now doing legislation and being, well, not, you're part of legislation, you're part of being influencers in the future of the black press that tells the story of real life, not only just in our black community, but real life in general.
Sure. And I think also, too, I think we mentioned this last Monday when we were in Sacramento. Black press, the black press, we're businesses as well, you know, so we are serving and we're all about service, but, you know, we are businesses and we have to survive and sustain ourselves. And I think that's part of that vision, just to continue the legacy that Dr. Warren and his late wife, Jerry Warren, laid the foundation for, you know, because that's for all of us. And to not have the Voice and Viewpoint would be a serious loss for the community. And I believe I can say that with some, I don't know, with some passion and belief, strong belief, because, again, as I always say, no one's going to advocate for us and tell our stories better than we can, and has the heart for the community like we do. And that's what sustains me, you know, definitely working with the paper and just the example of Dr. Warren. I mean, I've learned so much. And I would say the secret sauce in terms of our professional relationship is communication, honestly. It's communication. That's the key, I think, because he knows that my heart is in the right place and that I'm doing the work for the greater good and for the legacy, for it to continue. I've always felt that way. So important. So, yeah.
So let me ask you a question. As you go into this new dispensation of the newspaper, and you all are having all this technology that is being brought your way, how is AI either helping or not helping in the service of the paper?
Oh, AI is definitely helping. I was definitely very cautious, like, oh no, no. But then I went to the NVIDIA conference, which is one of the, trying to get my technology lingo here, but they, you know, do the chips and whatnot that have to do with the whole AI technology. So they're a company that's on the rise. So I went to a conference last year around this time and learned so much. And I was like, okay, let me use this technology. And I think that's what a lot of businesses are doing. They're realizing, okay, it's here, it's not going anywhere. So let's see how we can utilize it in our workflows in a smart way.
You know, one of the things that I look at, Dr. Warren, is, you know how they say proofreaders. The one thing I do love about AI is that you could put something in and say, proofread this, don't change anything.
Yes.
But highlight things that are grammatically incorrect or that just doesn't make sense. And AI will do that for you. Now, somebody might say, well, they're editors and readers that you're taking their jobs. But the reality comes in when you are a small business, you are the editor. You are the person that does the checks and balances and any things that can help you. I remember starting in the music business, we thought we were something when we had a 2-track recorder and we could record on 2 tracks, you know what I'm saying? And then it came that we could do 4 tracks. Oh, we were in something. But then when the ADATs came out, you know, and you could do 8 tracks per per system, and you could have 6 of those systems together, and all of a sudden you got all this taping that you can do, and now all those are obsolete. Those machines were like
Yeah.
$5,000 per, and now they're not even worth $100. And the thing about it is now computers have allowed you to be able to do 100 tracks, and all you got to do is have chip
Wow.
power. So those are the kind of things that there's the vintage sound that you some people want to only record their vocals on real tape, but here's the funny thing: now they have made the plugins so fabulous. You could say vintage sound, and it will literally sound like you recorded on tape.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think it's important to have a healthy respect for AI and to remember that it's still computers, and everything that you're getting from an AI tool is something that's been input from a human somewhere else. So that's something to remember. And AI can make mistakes, but it can definitely be used to help you with your workflows and make things faster. You still have to, still the human element though, that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So,
And Dr. Warren, one of the things that I love is that sometimes I come up with ideas, and I'll go to AI and say, hey, I got this idea. Can you mock up this idea for me?
it's amazing.
And they'll mock up an idea.
10 seconds.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's not what I want, but now I can go to the team and say, okay, this is the range I want to. Now let's make it our own. So there's so many different ways that we can use AI to get information out quicker, but also to make sure that we are having the checks and balances that we have done over the years and have made things better. I wrote an email the other day, and I felt I was rambling. And I took the email and I put in AI. I said, I am rambling in this email. Make it sound professional because I'm tired. and AI responded back, well, you need to get some rest, but we'll get that for you. and it was quite comical to me. But they didn't change what I said. They just cleaned it up. And so those are the kind of things that we look at as we begin to move forward. Let's talk about this whole thing about y'all are a newspaper, but now y'all doing video clips and news bites. What's that all about?
Oh, we've been doing that for a while, actually, Dr. Thompson. So it's just getting better and looking better on our brand new website, getting more showcased. But yeah, we've got our news bites.
Yeah, we have a very special one that I did for
Yes.
Memorial Day and remembering Malcolm X. And I think it went up yesterday or Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, and it's 58 seconds, but it is so educational because we had that kind of talent with us. And so we have, in one place on our new webpage, we have a whole series of all of our videos.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And in other spots as well, so you can discover them. But yeah, we've been slowly but surely adding the video content to our offerings. And it's exciting for us, and considering, what do we say? We're tiny, but we're mighty, We do quite a bit with the very talented team that we have, but it's fun, it's fun. It's another way to reach people and get the message out about different things that we want to elevate and educate and advocate on for sure. And our news bite is, we have 2 newsletters. We have one which is 3 times a week called News Bites, with little bites of information about local, state, national news, regional news. And then we have our weekly, this is this week's paper, just to let people know that it's on the newsstands and available and also digitally as well. So yeah,
So I want to go to a story that was, you guys have followed very much, and that is the property that is being sold and redeveloped in Encanto. I'm hearing that the battle is still continuing, that the battle is not over. Can you give an update? Because people are still very, very concerned that this is going to destroy their community, and that they still feel like there can be a fight because the council has not given full approval.
Well, there are 2 things about it. If you drive through in Canto, where you take that road that dips and comes up, I forget the name of it, and you pass the 2 radio towers that were used and put there during World War II, that land is now prime land for development. And the people who purchased it using the ADU loophole and using the mistake that was made for southeastern San Diego, which allowed 5,000 square feet per unit area as opposed to 20,000 square feet under what's referred to as footnote 7, which was snuck into operation with the written approval of the former 4th District Council member and a chief of staff who is now the council member. And they signed off on this along with the mayor. And since this issue has been raised in city council several times, lawsuits have been filed because many people drive through Encanto and just see it as a country-looking place. But the people who live there want to maintain that kind of rural atmosphere in the midst of the city. And so we are being plagued in southeastern San Diego with being made the response to homelessness. And the units that are being constructed there are so massive and so close and so many that in a short order is going to turn the community into a ghetto, and the people there are going to lose that sense of family. And some people are seeking to get Encanto declared as a historic site, which would limit the building and a lot of what is designated for a place that otherwise seemed to have been forgotten. Mm-hmm. So these are the kind of things that we have made a commitment to, both in print and in video, and in response to giving additional insight to legal opinions that are passed down, like by the city attorney's office, endorsing what's being done, which is being handled wrongly and being treated as if it's right. Those are the kind of things that have made the paper a trusted messenger and continue to drive people to us when they have difficulties.
Is there a plan of recourse? Is this winnable for the community?
Is what doable?
Is it winnable?
Winnable. Will they be able? Will they be able to have the opportunity to win and stop this development, or is it a losing cause and the city has already sold it all out?
Well, all battles are winnable if people participate. Southeastern San Diego has a history of marginal voter participation. And when I say marginal, you're talking about getting 3 to 5 to 7 to 8,000 people to vote in areas that have several 100,000 people who could vote. And people who don't see the significance of it because they haven't been trained in terms of its importance. The schools have not made civics the educational entity that it should be, and yet the people who come to this country seeking citizenship can buy a citizenship package for about $80, learn everything about America's democracy, the Constitution, and all those things, and when they hold their hand up for membership citizenship, they know more than the people born here. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our condition is our own fault, is the result of us not paying attention mm-hmm. and being too busy to get involved mm-hmm. and trying to get involved at the point of being reactionary as opposed to being proactive before things happen.
But I would ask is that in the elected officials that we elected to be in office, why do you think that they thought that that was a good idea?
Because, and I have to be choiceful with my words since people are looking for ways to sue us. But I think that in so many instances, elected officials who win by marginal votes in any district or state where this, what I'm about to say is true, and now I speak as a political scientist rather than as a publisher, where you know the voting outcome is marginal and that the marginal people voting control the money and resources to determine who serves, it gets to be an easy decision because the angry masses, until this recent exposure with Trump and Musk, the angry masses usually fizzle in a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. But now everybody is being touched and they can no longer be silent or they will lose and die. And so this is the issue now. Will we step up? Because a number of black people are taking the attitude now that the struggle that's going on against Trump and his administration are struggles for white folks and not for us. Mm. And that's ridiculous because we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And we can either bail water or we can sit there and watch the boat sink. But we in the boat and we're going to go down if the boat goes down.
So that was one of the stories that have gotten a lot of attention, and I know that that's a story that people are still wanting to fight. I had a conversation just recently with a young gentleman who said, "Look, put me with other people. I want to make sure that our voices are heard, and I'm willing to do the work and put videos and things out because they feel like they're losing the environment of their community." And that they, for lack of better words, have been given sold down the
It's
creek.
because they were able to repeal footnote 7, but they were not able to reverse the land developer's purchase of the land. And that got to be a whole different area. And see, sometimes when you get those scenarios, what's often be used by municipalities is eminent domain in terms of saving the property. And we don't even have people talking